Meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over Lunenburg Public Access. And we do have a quorum. 7 o'clock. Any communications from the public? Probably not.
Phone it in.
I have a number of communications. First of all, I have a notice of an informational meeting. The Lunenburg Planning Board will hold an informational meeting on Monday, April 25th, 2016, 6:35 p.m. here at Town Hall to hear and discuss an application for a development plan review under Section 8.4 of the Protective Bylaw of the Town of Lunenburg for an outside grocery pickup service at 301 Mass Ave, map 74, parcel 73. Applicant is Hannaford Brothers, 301 Mass Ave, Lunenburg. Property owner is Brixmore GA Lunenburg Crossing LLC, care of Brixmore Property Group, 111 Mass Turnpike, second floor, Burlington, Mass. 01803. Materials are available for viewing at the planning office, 960 Mass Ave, Lunenburg. And I received an email from Denise Baker at MMA, Mass Municipal Association, informing us that the Association of Town Finance Committees is holding 3 regional meetings this spring, May 5, 12, and 19. The attached form gives you details on all 3 sessions and includes a registration form. The meetings are free, but we do require registration so we can plan. I hope you or one of your colleagues can join us. So 3 workshops on Thursday, May 5th, check-in at 11:30, and then there's a session from 11:45 to 1, managing your debt and credit. This workshop is designed to be a primer on municipal capital planning and debt management for finance committees. The speaker is Cinder McInerney from Swampscott Finance Committee and Managing Director at First Southwest Company. The next is on Thursday, May 12th. I'm sorry, that's at the MMA office in Boston, and they are serving a light lunch. Thursday, May 12th at the Sharon Community Center. And this one starts with check-in at 5 p.m. And goes 5:30 to 7 p.m. Building a capital plan. And this presentation will focus on using financial policy development, trend monitoring, and capital planning to build a sound capital plan for your community. John Coder, Town Administrator at Northborough, is the speaker. And there are sandwiches and beverages for that meeting. And then Thursday, May 19th at Hadley Town Hall, again at 5 p.m. check-in, 5:30 to 7. Planning for and making presentations at town meeting. This session is designed to be interactive, focusing on how finance committees prepare for town meeting and then make a strong presentation at town meeting. And the speaker is John Trickey, Pelham Finance Committee, and one other speaker to be announced. I have directions or addresses for the 3 sites, and I have a registration form. If anyone is interested, just let me know.
Thanks.
In fact, I think I'll forward the email.
Well, that'd be great. Thanks.
Great. Okay, and then I would just like to remind everyone once again, we are authorized as a committee of 7. There are 5 of us present tonight, and that's all we have on the committee for now. So we have 2 openings. We would very much like to fill the additional 2 positions that we have. So anyone that's interested, please see the town clerk and fill out a talent bank form. Any other communications from the committee? Okay, I'll move on. This evening's meeting is the last of our series of meetings through the month of March to review the annual budget as recommended. We've met with all the department heads. We've met a couple of times with the town manager to receive her initial recommendation, and then last week we had our public hearing with some adjustments on that preliminary recommendation. Our main agenda topic for this evening is to review the warrant articles. We started that review last week, and we've made recommendations on several of the warrant articles, but we'll continue our review this evening and vote our recommendations on as many as we can. So, and we do have some changes in the numbers of the articles. Articles 1 through 6 are still the reauthorizing of revolving funds, and we've recommended approval on all 6 of those. 7 has not changed, has no financial impact. 8 is the prior year expenses. None are anticipated. We'll make our recommendation at town meeting. The fiscal 2016 budget adjustments is Article 9. We'll make our recommendation at town meeting for that. Article 10, we recommend approval. That number has not changed. Article 11 is the firefighters collective bargaining agreement, and we recommend approval on that. Collective bargaining for the DPW union is not yet finalized. And same with Article 13, the police union. Article 14 is the capital improvements plan. We recommend approval on that. Fiscal 2017 operating budget, we're on hold for now. We'll make a recommendation at town meeting, unless you have some information for us this evening, Karen?
No. Obviously, Carrie was unable to attend tonight's meeting, but there have been no changes to the FY17 budget except for the presentation that was made by Carrie last week. So the number for the budget is $33,802,328. And I believe last week you got a copy of the motion for that article with that dollar figure in it. So as long as you were in agreement with the presentation that was made last week by Kerry, then you could vote on that this evening if you wanted to have your recommendation in the warrant.
So the warrant article, as it was printed last week, included the additional funds from Chapter 70?
The warrant, yes. The motion the copy of the motion that you had for the warrant article included the adjustments that Kerry had made to the budget last week.
So 33,802,328.
Takes into consideration all the adjustments that she did in her presentation last week, yes.
Right. So let me just read that. Article 15, this is the motion. I move the town vote to raise and appropriate $32,784,764.24. Transfer $10,868 from septic receipts reserved for appropriation transfer $912,291 and 76 cents from the Sewer Enterprise Fund, transfer $31,623 from the Student Transportation Offset Receipt Fund, and transfer $62,781 from water betterment revenue to defray the charges and expenses of the town for fiscal year 2017 of $33,802,328, and to fix the salaries and compensation of all elected officials of the town and any other items included in the budget of the town manager, or take any other action relative thereto. So those numbers are,
Those numbers are, as the budget stands right now, that would be the motion that would be read at town meeting, yes.
okay. I'll accept a motion to recommend approval of Article 15 as written.
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of the FY17 operating budget, Article 15.
I will second Karen's motion.
Okay, discussion? I'd just like to say that if anything does change between now and then, obviously, we would revote our recommendation. But assuming that those numbers hold, I think it's safe for us to make that recommendation this evening, if all agree. Any other?
I'm going to assume then in the Finance Committee report that it should state that we're recommending approval of that there, or will it just be in the body of the warrant?
It can be in both.
Okay,
It can be in both. You could put in you could put in the essence of what's in the motion,
okay,
any or all of it, or none of it.
okay,
That's something we should talk about.
okay,
Okay?
fine, thanks.
Karen, all set?
I'm good.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? None. Okay?
Just so that you know, when the warrant goes out, it doesn't have a dollar amount in it. The warrant, the town meeting warrant that's mailed out to the residents is just a general article, so if you recommend approval of the 33 million of that figure, then Elaine can just put down at the bottom that the Finance Committee recommends approval of, and put that number right in there.
That's what we should do. We recommend approval for the total amount of $33,802,328. That way, if the number changes, then our recommendation would have to be revoted.
Do you need me to re-motion this?
No.
Okay.
No, we're recommending approval on the motion, knowing that the warrant is going to be stated a little bit differently.
Okay, so then is it safe to assume that what Karen's going to do is have Elaine put that in? Okay, so, perfect.
Okay? That was Article 15. Article 16 was and is the COLA for non-union, and we've recommended approval on that. Article 17 is the transfer from stabilization. That was on hold as of last week.
Now, is that we're going to, if we approve the amount of the budget, then we would also approve the amount of the transfer to the fund stabilization based on the numbers we had last week?
Right, the $99,851 would be the appropriation in order to meet all of the financial policies that you have. The $99,851 would be what would be appropriated into the stabilization fund at the town meeting. But again, in the warrant that goes out to the residents, there's no dollar amount. So if you agree to the $33,802,328 for the budget, then you might want to do the same thing on the stabilization fund appropriation and put in the $98,851 as your recommended dollar amount.
Okay, then, I would make a motion to recommend approval of Article 17, transferring $99,851 to stabilization.
I will second that.
Can we clarify that number with you, Karen? Because you said 99 and 98 at one point.
99,851, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And that happens to be the number that's in the, already in the dollar value column
On your summary page, you mean?
on our summary
Yeah.
page, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we're voting on, the recommend approval of the 99,851. We have a motion that's been seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
No.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? None. Okay. Article 18 is now the sewer enterprise, is now the solid waste, which was 19 last week.
And that was supposed to be
So-
presented this week, but it's not being, unless you're
And she
presenting on
hasn't done a
this.
presentation yet, and actually, we're in the process of reviewing that account with Jack to determine if the 275 is a good number or not. It will probably have to be increased because there were some increases in the bags that are purchased for the program.
Okay.
So
So
we're
it's-
we're looking at that now, and we were doing that today, but Carrie had to leave, so we never got the opportunity to finish it up.
Right.
So she would ask that you wait until town meeting to make that recommendation.
Okay, so we'll hold on that. Then, going,
To 19,
19 then is the Lunenburg Water Department Enterprise Fund, which last time was Article 20, so that's now 19. And that one was also on hold.
And that number is that $25,000 is a good number.
That is a good number?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so this one is an enterprise fund.
What that basically is it's for the properties that are right on the Lunenburg-Fitchburg line on Summer Street. There's maybe 3 or 4 businesses in the Tri-Town development that are connected to water from Fitchburg. So we collect the user charges from those users and basically turn the money over to the city of Fitchburg.
Right. So it basically pays for itself.
Correct. It definitely pays for itself, and then
Right.
some.
Okay?
So I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the FY17 Lunenburg Water Department Enterprise Fund in the amount of $25,000.
second.
Any discussion? Here again, Karen, we would carry the dollar amount in our recommendation.
Okay.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None. Okay, 21 is now establish an infiltration stabilization fund. That one,
Is new.
is that 24?
No. I don't think so. The I don't think it was.
No, that was,
That was to create the stabilization fund for
last time.
future work.
yeah, that article last time was 40. And now it's 21.
Last time it was 40.
And we didn't have, I didn't even turn it
Established
over, right.
And how about the dollar value?
That dollar amount is subject to change because that $14,520 figure was based on revenues that were received, well, recently through like the end of February. So depending on what they generate in revenues between now and town meeting, that number will likely change.
So we have a couple of choices here. We could approve the dollar value that's here, subject to change. We could, or recommend approval, I should say. We could recommend approval without a dollar value, or we can withhold our recommendation until we have a dollar value.
Correct.
Well, I think, if we just make a motion to establish, to recommend approval of establishing the fund, then at town meeting, would we not then also have to vote on the amount
Not
going
much
in?
to put in.
So would it make more sense to just wait?
If there's uncertainty about what the number is going to be, I'd prefer to wait, frankly. If we're voting to establish a fund,
Wait? Not wait?
I don't know how we can establish a fund without any money to put into the fund. Or can we?
I would wait until town meeting.
Okay. In fact, the Board of Selectmen are going to make their recommendation at town meeting. We okay with that?
Yes.
I am, I do have a question.
Okay.
That is, we did approve the overall budget amount. If this changes, could that change that, or is it a zero-sum game where we end up taking money from someplace else?
I believe this is within the sewer enterprise.
Or so it doesn't touch the budget?
The 736,242 that you voted for the sewer enterprise is totally
Is-
separate from
Okay,
this.
okay,
Yeah.
fine, thank
It
you.
has no impact.
Okay, we're good with that?
Yes.
22 is transfer to reserve capacity stabilization fund.
And that was 24.
That amount would be subject to change prior to town meeting as well, because it's also based upon revenues that they received this year. That fund is already established. It was established last year. This is just to put some additional funds in there based upon revenues that are received in FY16.
Right. So that was 24, that's now 22. And last week, we said we would hold that for town meeting, and Karen is suggesting the same.
Yep.
We're good with that?
Fine,
Okay.
fine.
23, appropriate bond premium and rescind borrowing authorization for middle school, high school. That was 21, that's
Right.
now 23. We recommended approval on that last week. 24, accept Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Paragraph 53, F and 3/4, to establish PEG access and cable-related fund and transfer existing PEG access funds. That
was
one
22.
was 22, it's now 24,
Mhm.
and we recommended approval on that.
Right.
Okay. 25, appropriate to fund PEG access operating budget.
It was 23.
That's, 23 is the PAC budget.
Mhm.
Isn't the PEG budget the PAC budget?
Oh, that's the same thing?
Yeah.
Public
Read the,
education.
yeah,
Okay, so we recommended approval on that last week,
right,
and that is
it's now 25.
That's why I hated it when they changed the words to.
Yeah. Okay. Article 26, appropriate for Proposition 2.5 debt exclusion for road maintenance.
Carrie asked me to relay to you that the Board of Selectmen will be determining what the funding plan will be for that at next Tuesday's meeting. So if you wanted to hold off until after that presentation was done, she would suggest that you wait until town meeting to make your recommendation.
And if I'm not mistaken, that meeting will be earlier than the regular time
I'm not sure.
on Tuesday. I think
I think that's what I heard.
Mr. Toll conveyed that to us last week. So here we have a couple of choices. We could convene at the same time that the Board of Selectmen is convening, and if we're prepared to take a vote after we hear their decision, we could do that and get it in time for the warrant, or we can just wait till town meeting. We don't have a meeting on the agenda, and Town Hall is closed tomorrow, so we can't, we don't have a window to post an agenda, do we?
No.
So we can certainly come to the meeting next Tuesday or watch the meeting next Tuesday, but we won't be able to convene in time to take a vote.
Okay.
So I guess that kind of settles it, right?
Well, unless we wanted to take up a discussion whether we want to do this without the debt plan.
Okay, I'm open to a discussion on that. Last week, there were at least two members that wanted to hear the financing plan first.
Okay.
Has anything changed?
No, I still would, and the other thought that jumped into my head, and I don't think, I probably have it at home, I just haven't gone looking for it yet. Wanted to also look to see when, what the average per household payments were for the middle school, high school project. I sort of wanted to see what the overlap was in terms of when the bulk of that was hitting the taxpayers. Remember there was a breakdown of that? I wanted to sort of look at that too and compare it to their options that they're going to consider next Tuesday. I'm truly concerned about asking the taxpayers of this town to open up their wallets even wider to cover something like this after we just had that, this big building project going on.
Right.
So,
Well, I have two things running through my mind on that. One is that you had remarked, and I just want to make sure I'm clear on this, that the school building committee was anticipating leaving about 3 million on the table?
Close to that, yes.
So the estimates of what was going to, the cost per household was going to be, if that's based on having expended the total amount of the financing, could make a difference in terms of how you would read that, I would think, or not?
Not quite.
Not quite, okay.
Not quite, because what was approved was a total budget, and the state share has changed, which means the town share has changed.
Okay.
And if we spent the entire budget, the town share would actually be going up. So we're going to be under budget. I don't know what the impact is going to be on the town share just yet. So I can't say for certain, even if we don't spend any more of the contingency, I don't have the number for what the town share is likely to be and how that compares with what we anticipated early on. I don't think we know what the final financing will be. We don't know what the interest rate is. We don't know what the dollar amount is. In my view, that's still uncertain.
Okay. And then the second question that was running through my head, or the second thought, was that I think that the way that I anticipate looking at this is it a good plan? Not, do we want to ask people to pay for it? Because I think if we recommend approval and it is approved at town meeting, then everybody gets a chance to vote. And I think that really it's just, to my way of thinking, I'm looking at it as, is this a good plan if it's implemented? So yes, so looking at Tuesday night before making any kind of recommendation would be a good thing. But that's just to give you a sense of where I'm thinking, that recommending approval or not at this point is really just, it doesn't end at town meeting unless it's voted down. So
Right.
That's where I am.
Right, and just to be clear about that, it's a 2/3 vote at town meeting and then a simple majority at the ballot. John?
And yeah, I would like to elaborate on something that I started last week. my concerns were primarily about the effect that this plan would have on squeezing out revenue for other parts of the town budget. And so, in the interim between last meeting and this, I looked at the 3 areas I was concerned about: the growth in retirement assessment, the growth in the group health insurance, the projected growth, and the piggybacked on the PMP funding initiative that's part of this plan. And I've come to the conclusion that a lot of my concerns were, that answered a lot of my concerns. The budget in the out years does indeed tighten up, but not to the extent that some proactive management can't address it before the fact. And so I'm much more in favor of the plan than I was, much less skeptical plan than I was last time. It's still tightens up the budget, make no mistake about it going forward. But it's not as significant as I had feared it was.
That's great. And John, by the way, I did get a chance to look at your spreadsheet. I'm not sure I understood all of the entries.
Yeah.
But it seemed to conclude, just as you say, that there's still money left over to keep up with inflation.
Yep.
I guess is the best way to put it.
Yep.
The one thing that I thought might strengthen your spreadsheet and really provide a complete picture would be to add a row or two for the debt service, either the total debt service or both the excludable debt and the non-excluded debt.
Yes.
And that would give a very complete picture of, as the debt burden goes down, that's going to free up dollars for potentially other things as well.
We're actually on the same wavelength. I was trying to get some information trying to check the information I had at home on the debt service. I just didn't have enough time to run that to ground. Now, with respect to the debt service, in my mind, the excluded debt would be a memo item, because that's really self-funding. It's the regular debt that I think we've got to be concerned about. And of course, that the other thing that leads to is projecting debt that we may want / have to assume for some of the larger capital projects going forward.
Right.
So there's some assumptions, but yeah, I was gonna do that.
Yeah, and I guess I would agree with that, and that would be an argument for splitting out the excluded debt from the non-excluded
Yes,
debt.
exactly.
So we can see the total debt burden, but more importantly, what's the impact on the operating budget?
Just for your information, Carrie did send me a note yesterday after I circulated this to everybody, saying that she was interested enough in it that she is going to present that version or the version that comes up as a result of our discussion to the BOS meeting on Tuesday.
Great.
Thanks.
Good. Thank you, John. So unless I hear a motion otherwise, we're going to hold our recommendation on Article 26 until town meeting. We good?
Yes.
Okay. So that's going to be ATM. 27, authorize long-term contract and easement for cell tower installation at Turf Field. Is that new?
It was Article 30.
Okay.
Last time.
Do we have any additional information on that one, Karen?
There isn't.
The Board of Selectmen, I see here, are making their recommendation at town meeting. I suggest we do the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was 27. 28, authorize borrowing for replacement of the turf field and track at school campus.
Carrie hasn't presented anything to you on that and would ask, and also the Board of Selectmen are waiting for the town meeting as well, so she would ask that you do the same.
Okay, and that was 39. It's now 28. So we'll hold that till annual town meeting?
Sounds good.
Okay. Um, 29, authorize Summer Street temporary and permanent easements for the construction project.
Is that a financial thing?
Temporary and permanent easements. The easements themselves are not, don't have financial impact. The
They don't.
construction project certainly does.
Exactly, yeah.
But we don't have an article on the construction project. That's part of the tip, right?
Right, and I don't have any information on this, so, I mean, I see that the selectmen recommended approval. Carrie didn't say anything about this to me, so,
Unless I hear differently, I'm going to assume that it's just the easements and therefore no financial impact. Does that sound right to you, Karen?
yes. I mean, like I said, I'm not real familiar with this, but it certainly makes sense.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was,
It was 42 and now it's 29.
so for now, I'm going to put that as no impact, and if we hear otherwise, we can take up a recommendation on that. Transfer Brooks House to custody of the Board of Selectmen. That
It
was,
had been 25, and we had hold for town meeting for that and the past years.
we had hold, not necessarily for town meeting. But we can certainly hold for town meeting.
Okay.
Karen, the transferring of custody in itself doesn't have any financial impact. It's not until we have a plan to dispose of it, right?
Well, true, but I mean, if they transfer the custody from the school to the town, then we would take on the responsibility of the expenses
That's
to
right.
keep the building running, so
That's right.
it would
And-
just switch from the school to the town.
Right, and didn't Kerry say that she was working on a plan that would, or maybe that was just the TC Passios, where any rent or income would be enough to offset the operating expense?
Yes. And hopefully, I mean, there's flackers in that building now, so it's, whether or not they're going to stay until we determine what we're gonna do with that building,
Right.
or even stay after the fact, so it's kind of up in the air right now as to what's actually gonna happen, but there's definitely gonna be some expenses that will be borne by either the school or the town when the custody is transferred, so.
Right, but didn't she say that Brooks House has a tenant?
I thought she did. I thought she said that she was hoping that I don't know if she said it, though, by building specific, or if she just had a plan.
I
Okay.
think the Lunenburg Ledger is in the Brooks House right now.
Yeah,
I think that's where they have office space, and I know John Lond is still there, but
so I'm going to suggest we hold on both of those until we know more of how we're going to handle those expenses. Article 32, grant permanent easement along town right-of-way at 1134 Northfield Road. That was 27. It's now 32. and we said that that had no impact. Would you agree, Karen?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Okay.
33, amend zoning designation from recreational to Residence A for 1026 Northfield Road. We did not discuss that one last week. That was 29, that's now 33. Zoning designation, that sounds like no impact to me.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
Yeah.
Karen, would you agree?
I would agree.
I don't know which Karen you're talking to, but we both agree.
Cool. Like it when that happens. 34, authorize town to negotiate a long-term lease to locate a Doppler radar tower. And that was 31, that's now 34.
I don't know anything about this article. I do see that the Board of Selectmen are recommending approval at town meeting, so
Then I think we'll do the same.
Yeah.
Okay. 35, amend the comprehensive wastewater master plan Phase 4 report. And that is 35,
32,
was 32.
right, yeah.
Selectmen are waiting till town meeting on that one as well.
Okay? Unless you have some information for us, we'll do the same.
I don't.
Thirty-six, amend Article 26 of the town bylaws entitled Sewer Bylaw. And that was 33, that's now 36. Do
Board
we
of
know what the
Selectmen are waiting
bylaw?
until town meeting on that, too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think that there was financial impact in it. I think it was just some language changes
Yeah.
from what, yeah, I don't,
I don't know what they're changing in the bylaw.
Right,
But recognizing that any violations can result in fines.
Yep.
There's money involved there. Even though it stays within the sewer enterprise, it's still, there's still an impact there.
right.
But I don't know that that aspect of the bylaw is changing, so we'll hold on that. Amend the zoning bylaw table of contents.
It looks like the next three are all zoning, four are zoning bylaws.
Thirty-eight, 39, 40. And 40. Until we know exactly what those bylaw changes are, I don't see how we know if there's a financial impact or not.
Yep.
So I'm going to suggest we hold till annual town meeting on those.
Sounds good.
And I've got that. All the way up to 43, right?
Yes.
Okay.
18. So 44, provide yard waste disposal service for residents on a bi-weekly schedule.
I just saw this one for the first time when I got the revised warrant, so I honestly can't speak to it.
It's by a citizen petition, so.
Is that it, citizen?
Oh, yeah, it does say that.
So I'd like to wait and see what the citizen has to say.
I would agree. And then 45 is establish a study committee to investigate feasibility of water district becoming a town department. And that was submitted by the Board of Selectmen. I've been watching some of the debate on this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I've arrived at a conclusion as yet. I'd like to hear more.
On the article, or
Yeah, whether
whether or
we
not
should-
there should be a study committee?
Actually, it's a study committee, isn't it?
It is.
Which would be interesting if they find enough people to make a study committee.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Here we are, struggling to increase our members. We've been 5 for the entire fiscal year now. And we're talking about yet another committee. I guess I'd feel more comfortable if there was some sort of subcommittee. Maybe there's a way to have a joint committee of, a joint subcommittee of the board and the water district. See if they can't collaborate on a plan.
Finally, some leverage. We could amend it to say we're in favor of the study committee after this committee is fully staffed.
Actually, after all the committees are, there's a lot of committees that are short.
That are short-staffed.
We don't have to take a position now. We can wait.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Karen, you good?
I'm good with that.
There would only be a financial impact if they needed money to put the study
There was a
committee
talk of
together.
some money at some point, but I don't remember all the details, so.
Yeah. I suppose if it's a study committee, there's no real financial impact in a study committee.
Unless they bring in a consultant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Karen, do you have anything else on the warrant?
I don't.
And do you have any reports on behalf of the town manager?
I do not.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. We've now reviewed all the warrant articles. We have said that a topic related to that is the budget letter. I guess there's a couple of items that we might consider putting in the letter, and that is the fiscal 17 operating budget. When we talked about that, we could consider putting in the full dollar amount. We could break it out in the fashion that it's broken out in the warrant, or we could leave it implied, not stated in our letter. I mean, obviously, the letter covers the whole budget, not just the final number, right? It's all the details.
Right, and actually, I think what I guess the question is, I could put in the total budget amount. Anyway, there was a placeholder for the amount of the increase in the budget, but maybe that's not as important as putting the total amount of the budget.
Or maybe both?
Or both, increasing to,
Yeah.
Increase over last year.
We know what the fiscal 16 after recap is, Or,
Total.
or,
Right.
or would we do fiscal 16 as appropriated?
I would, actually, I think when I was working with, I'll look at what numbers I was working with, but I thought I was working with the after recap numbers.
Yeah, so you just want to be consistent with that. So that would be a great way to,
Indicate what it is that we're recommending approval.
and how much it's changed
Okay,
year over year.
Yep.
So that'd be great.
okay.
The other thought that I had was with respect to the pavement management plan, whether we should make any mention of that or not. We're saying there is no request nor recommendation to borrow funds to fund the remaining items, which is true.
Right,
And even if the pavement management plan is approved,
it doesn't,
it won't have any impact in fiscal 17. So we can either leave it out as it is now, or we could make mention of the fact that if approved, it won't have any impact on 17, but it will have an impact on 18 and beyond.
So, on that, there's no request, no recommendation to borrow funds to fund the remaining items
Of the capital plan,
of the,
right?
okay. I was thinking that the field was on the capital plan and it's not, so
Right.
we're good.
well, I suppose we could. I think I'd feel more comfortable putting it in the letter if we had discussed it more. But we could, I could, like certainly mention that it's in there and is something that will have an impact on the 2018 budget, but
Yeah.
not necessarily the 2017 budget.
I don't feel strongly about it either way, to be honest. It just occurred to me as I was going
Right,
through
right.
it, that it will certainly be a topic
Right.
of discussion. Do we want to let people know
Right.
that it's coming?
You guys have any feeling on that?
And we're not making a recommendation on it.
Right.
So in the warrant article, it's going to say our recommendation is going to be at town meeting.
Right, right.
So it's in the warrant. It's just not in the letter.
Right.
Well, we're hard to put a blurb in. I mean, it is going to have a financial impact if it's passed.
Well, that's true. Actually, I only ever focused on the operating budget. I didn't even think in terms of the other warrant articles that may have a financial impact.
The overall tax burden and financial impact.
Although, as I recall, you did mention a couple of parts of the operating budget that going forward could strain some resources. You mentioned the retirement assessment, for instance, and the group health insurance. And that would be a natural segue into just a recognition that the town is about to decide, maybe about to decide on the pavement management maintenance plan, that this would have, this may have some effect on future budgets. It's,
Okay, yeah, no, that's
Just a
fine. And actually,
suggestion.
well, there was also a section in there on debt service as a whole, so I think
Yeah.
that basically including some,
so,
but I
yeah.
also don't want to persuade or dissuade in the
No, you have to
in the
be
letter.
scrupulously neutral, but
Yeah,
I'm just saying there's there's a, to my mind, a logical segue into that.
right. There is. Oh, yes, if I find that logical segue, or if I forward it on before it gets, put ready for the warrant, then if people want to add it in, that would be fine. I would not take,
Okay.
but I would say that, yeah, it might make sense in the discussion of the debt service that there is stuff being discussed, even though it's outside of this year's operating budget.
Right.
Okay.
So Terry, in the first paragraph, you mention pressures from a few drivers are beginning to demand a larger share.
Yes.
What are those drivers?
health insurance, retirement, and debt service.
So as discussed below.
Right, okay. I didn't have it right there.
No.
I moved it around. That's what happens
Yeah.
when you copy and paste, I guess. It was right there when I wrote it the first time. But yeah, okay, so make that clear.
And I sent you
Yes.
my notes.
Yes. I was here though, and I couldn't read them on my phone.
I realize that. And then the retirement assessment has gone up 8.7%, or 84,143. Is that year over year?
Well, that's this year, 16 to 17.
Okay.
So, okay, from last year, yeah.
And then I just had one typo. Actually,
Just one?
a brief wording change and a typo.
You didn't read it very well. It's just one.
And
Okay.
you want to add the
Yes,
the
yeah,
names
no,
at the
yes.
bottom.
Yes.
Okay. Any other feedback for Terry?
I sent her my.
Yes.
I don't know if it was-
Jay's feedback was all the red ink and, yes, he made it readable. Yes, I did, they were very helpful changes, actually. Any other changes, or? Okay, so then,
Nice job, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
like it.
Very good.
Extremely good.
thank you. Then I'll just, do I send it to the whole committee? Should I just send it to you to go through to Elaine for the warrant, or should it go through the chair to the?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll send it to you, and, or do you want me to send it to everybody?
You can send it to everybody.
Okay,
I will give it a final read-through and notify you all when I forward it along.
all right, and you would like that by when, so that it can go in by Wednesday? Is that when it has to go in?
I had Wednesday on my calendar, I think.
It must be Wednesday, because if they're doing that presentation Tuesday, in order to be able to, it must be, I mean, I can check and let you know for certain, but
All right, so I'll make sure that you have it this weekend.
I have Wednesday morning on my
Okay.
calendar, FinCom report due.
All right, I'll make sure you have it this
In
weekend.
fact, I've got the schedule in here somewhere. Okay, so
And
yeah,
yes, And I was going to put that number in where you asked me if I was going to
Okay.
put that number in, yes.
if I have it by Monday, that will be fine. I can review it Monday evening.
Okay, super.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Okay. John, we have minutes?
We have one copy of minutes. It's the March 17 meeting. I circulated it, I think yesterday's was late. And if you all had a chance to look at it, fine. If not, we can
I did.
postpone it. Okay.
I'm okay with it.
Jay did, and he's happy to make a motion to,
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting, March 17th, 2016.
Super.
and I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None. Committee and department updates.
I have none.
I don't have any either.
Sewer met the other Tuesday night. Yeah, they were on TV, mostly related to their two articles they're putting on the warrant. One of them was related to their grease traps. And the other one was something about the way rules and regulations have changed.
Okay. Anything else? John, do you have anything?
I don't, well, PAC met last Monday, but I was unable to attend. Although I got some feedback from them, they're really monitoring their issues, like subscribers, much more tightly. So it's encouraging, really managing the committee well.
Good. And I have nothing, I have nothing as well. Any need to discuss ongoing business?
No.
We've been talking about the pavement plan, obviously, and we don't have any other information. So our next meeting is our regularly scheduled meeting of April 14th, 7 o'clock PM here at Town Hall.
I will not be present.
Okay.
So
Oh,
we're not meeting next week?
oh,
Oh,
oh. It's impossible for me to be here. I won't be around at all,
Neither will I.
so I
So,
do apologize.
so we have a couple of choices.
Reschedule?
We could reschedule to either the 7th or the 21st, provided we can find a place to meet. Or we can simply skip that meeting and have our next meeting on April 28th.
If it helps anybody, I'm not here the 21st either. If that helps the
I'm
decision.
not either, but I am here the 7th.
I am as well.
Tight, but I am here the 7th.
Well, there's no business really until,
I'm not aware of any business. Any of the outstanding warrants, we said we would review at annual town meeting.
Mhm.
So if we have a chance to meet at least once before town meeting, and then typically we meet the day of town
Yep.
meeting,
Mhm.
before town meeting convenes. We'll meet at 8 or 8:30, depending on how much business we have, and the meeting starts at 9. But if we have our regular meeting on the 28th,
I will be there.
any final preparations, we can take care of that.
Okay.
wow,
Did we
Oh,
just give
great.
ourselves a month off?
we did.
Wow,
Pretty close.
impressive.
Yeah.
Just have to remember not to show up next
4
week.
weeks.
That's-
And that's all I have for tonight.
Then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Those in favor?